just want to make sure. All right. Good evening. This is the Design Review Board meeting for May 4th, 2021. I'd first like to kick off the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, if everyone can stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, justice for all.
I'd like to introduce our city staff and board members, starting with our left.
Robin McDonald, zoning manager.
Shubha Jangam, senior planner.
Reed Casey, Bethany Road.
Charlie Roberts, Freemanville Road.
Laura Weissong, Crooked Creek.
Lee Collins, Westbrook Road.
All right. I would like to approve the agenda for this evening. Are there any changes to the current agenda? Or we're good as stands?
The stone house is going to be courtesy review.
Okay, so that, all right. So we just need, I need to have somebody make a motion to move item 7C to item 6C.
I'll make a motion to move item 7C, 12595 Crabapple Road, to item 6C.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right. Also, we need to approve our April meeting minutes, unless there's any modifications. If somebody could make a motion for approval.
I make a motion to approve the April minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our first item up on our agenda is for demolitions, and our first demolition item for this evening, actually our only item, is 12905 New Providence Road. It looks like we're going to demolish a house and remove 6 small sheds from the property. If the applicant could come forward. Scott.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm Scott Reese with Brumlow Reese & Associates, doing business at 13685 Highway 9, Milton, Georgia, 30004. I'm here tonight representing Archway Homes and their application to demolish the existing residence and remove the portable buildings that exist on the site. It's a 1960 ranch, originally brick clad in western cedar siding. It has no structural or historical significance. The site was formerly a private family nursery, plant nursery. You've got assorted prefabricated accessory structures, and they're sitting on blocks, and they're going to just lift those up, move them off site. They're the metal clad. You see it in front of the big box stores. So they're going to remove those. I've gone over with the applicant the need to obtain a licensed sanitarian in the state of Georgia to fill the existing septic tank with stone per state requirements, and to do a thorough job of cleaning the site after removal of the house and grassing the area of disturbance to get it as best appearance as we can and clean up the job site. Their intent is to build 3 new houses on the subject property, and their intent is to proceed as rapidly as possible through the permitting process. So that's the situation. Hopefully, or if I can answer any questions if you have those. So, thanks.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions for the applicant? Any comments from staff? I'm fine with this one if everyone on the board is, and you're ready to make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the demo of 12905 New Providence Road.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Scott. Thank you. Right. Our next item on our agenda we have 3 courtesy reviews this evening, and courtesy reviews, the Design Review Board does not vote on these items. We do provide input to the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission, so our notes will be taken for use at those meetings when the applicant moves forward. So our first courtesy review for this evening is V21-09. The address is 200 Tor Court. The request is to allow the lot coverage for a CUP zone property that fronts a public street to go from 20% to 25% coverage. If the applicant could come forward and please provide us an overview of what you're trying to accomplish here.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for having us here. I'm Jason with Premier Pool Service. I'm representing my client, Mr. Walton, behind us. What we're trying to do is get approval, like mentioned, to right now their lot coverage with the home, when he purchased it back in December, he was already over the 20% allowed in the neighborhood. So he's already, unfortunately, inherited a situation where previous homeowner had done other things, so he's at his cap or over his cap to be able to build a swimming pool. So what we've tried to do is minimize the encroachment or the disturbances of the area. We just want to provide just as little amount of pervious pavers or patio, whichever decides, whichever is best for the committee to give us recommendations, whether it's a artificial turf, pervious paver situation or something like that. But we're trying to do is to have the littlest amount of footprint disturbance as possible. We're going to do a little bit of coping. The patio is going to be roughly about 500 square feet. The lot's over an acre as it stands right now. So we're looking with pool, patio, coping. If we were to do the whole thing per the plan, it would be a little bit close to about 1,000 square feet. The pool would be roughly about 600 square feet of that, which, could a little bit as a way as it act as a kind of a catch basin per se. But regardless, we're just trying to ask if we can have a little bit more leniency with the percentages of lot coverage, as if we need to do a dry well system, a water collection situation underground for water management, stormwater runoff. We're willing to do anything within reason. Financially for the client, but so that's kind of where we're at. So we're just asking to be able to get a little bit more lot coverage allowances so we can do the pool.
Questions?
Yeah, I was just asking staff. I mean, this is a normal, I guess, for the neighborhood size house on an acre lot. Why are they already exceeding the amount of coverage? I mean, a lot of these houses in this neighborhood have pools, things, right? So,
well, from the little bit of research we did, it's almost like this is almost a grandfather situation where prior to, I'm not sure if it was 2017 or 18, they may have revised the zoning. That's maybe that's what we were thinking, but they've already got a patio, they've got a basketball court, which client, he's already willing to remove some things if we need to.
the basketball court, it's doing
Well,
it.
it's not a full-on basketball court. It's literally a 12 by 10 little side. Anything that we need to do to reduce his lot coverage. Obviously, we can't start taking away the driveway or whatnot, but
Yeah.
the other client, the previous homeowner, did do a little side sport court, I guess it is.
It's behind the tandem
Yeah.
garage.
Yes, sir. And then the existing screen porch brick patio, this was all built with the home. So all of these things came with, when this was constructed, however many years ago, none of this was add-ons through the years, other than that basketball court may have been, but that's such a minimal area that, you know, he's already said that that's 100% fine to remove if we need to, but our biggest obstacle right now is we're already over the 20%. So we're trying to come up with a solution to enable us to have a minimal impact and still be able to build. And this isn't any gargantuan pool, patio, anything like that. This is a standard backyard 20 by 40 with just a little bit of decking and the standard 1-foot coping around the perimeter.
Recently, they also added a pool house. If you see the next plan, they just last week gave me the new updated site plan that includes a pool house.
Yeah, so what is the coverage would go from what to what currently?
So currently,
Helping her out. Well, so currently, without anything, without the pool, the existing impervious is 20.73%.
with the pool and pool house, it's going all the way up to 25%.
Okay. Yeah, I think the challenge on this particular item is I'm having a difficult time seeing where there's a hardship here, and this is usually what we are looking for a zoning for variance, is there has to be a hardship, meaning the terrain is so difficult there's really no other place to put the pool, but that is not the case on this particular piece of property. There are other places you would be removing things to put the pool, but you could still keep it within the 20%. So, I mean, typically zoning cases are really for hardship situations. Any other comments?
Well, and also this is a pretty big pool house. 800 square feet isn't like you're trying to get the pool built. I mean, that's a lot of square footage. I don't know that this is to scale, but the pool house is almost as big as the pool. So if you're trying to get something done and you're starting off already over and you're wanting an 800 square foot pool house, I would have a problem with that. I mean, doesn't mean you don't want it, but we can only look at the coverage, and you're beyond the 20%, and then you want a giant pool house to go with your pool. I'd be more sympathetic probably if it was the pool you were dying to have and not the pool house. But putting the two together, I think it's an excessive request. So,
We comment?
If you remove the pool house and you remove the basketball half court or whatever you call it, you could bring down figures further and get closer to the 20 and closer. Be something.
Yeah, the closest we've been able to get, taking out the pool house altogether, removal of the sport court, quote unquote, and just doing 565 square feet of pervious patio, whatever that would be, we're still around 22.67% without anything to do with the pool house. So
well, 22 feels better than 25 when you're already over.
At 25.2.
Right.
Keeps going up.
I think there's, I mean, my advice, the board's advice, I think is we'd like to see probably a different design where you could bring that amount down. If it was a small percentage over, I think we'd be more inclined to say, yeah, we could do that. But with the percentages that you're asking for, and because this property doesn't have challenges where a lot of properties we see, they have no other place to put something. You actually do have places you'd have to remove some things, but you do have places to do that. So that's typically how, we allow for or recommend a variance. So in this one, I think We would suggest maybe you go back to the drawing board and see what you could do, or even talk to the city architect to see what sort of advice he could give you as well, which I think he could do that and probably come up something you'd still be really happy with, but would get you closer to the percentage. And even if you're a small amount over, we'd be willing to say, okay, go ahead and do that.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right, so our input, we won't be voting, we'll just be sending that on up. But I would highly recommend you work with staff and city architect and see what options you have there.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you for your time and your comments. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thank you.
All right, our next courtesy review is item V21-10, address 12655 Birmingham Highway, and that would be the Starbucks. And the request is to allow all wall signs to be made of transparent white Lexan and vinyl, to allow for internal illumination of all signs, to allow the 48-inch diameter sign to remain on the architectural feature, and to allow an additional wall sign for a total of 4 signs. If the applicant could come forward.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this request. When we first had the sign plan completed, our understanding from the guidance we got from our architect and the building owner and the designers at Starbucks was that the signs met the local code, and so we signed off on them, based on that understanding. When the signs were permitted, we originally were granted an approval of the signs. At that point, we pulled the signs out of storage to have them installed, and really was kind of left at no point to the ability to return those signs at that point in time. And subsequently found out that the signs didn't meet the current code, and the permit was pulled, or the approval for the permit was pulled. So we've explored the cost of replacing the signs. It would be a very large financial burden for us to replace those signs, not only just the signs themselves, but adding the gooseneck lighting as well as the electrical. So we would ask, when we designed the store, we wanted it to really to not be kind of obscene and flashy or anything like that, but fit really well within the local community and the architecture, and tried to minimalize where we could, not have the big words of Starbucks and all that. And so we think that the current sides, fit well within the community. We would like to be able to keep those and not replace them with wood, which, we really don't think the current signs have an appearance that, is anything that would be, materially different from what it would look like with the wood replacement. And, the way that the building kind of was laid out, it created the building was lowered down from the original designs. It's about 4 feet below the street level. And so an additional sign was added to the front of the buildings because you really couldn't see that very well from the street level. So that's why we were requesting that additional sign for the front. So one is kind of really visible by the street. The other one's more visible underneath the patio for patrons.
I'd make a comment. It looks good, and the project looks great. We're lucky to have a national tenant out there on the front. And, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, kind of like we got to have them. I think the signs look great. And I'd go with these signs since you've already got them up and they're there. We don't vote, as Laura said, so BZA is going to make that choice, but I think they look great. And I think it's a beautiful store.
Thank you.
Right out there at the circle.
Thank you.
I call it very much town serving.
Yeah, I mean, I initially, when you guys opened the store, I didn't know that was a Starbucks because I couldn't tell, and I was like, oh, it's a Starbucks. So, you know, I had trouble seeing it too.
Right.
So, and I'm a huge Starbucks fan. So, but I was happy to see it because it's a really beautiful store property. It really looks nice on that corner. So, and I am aware of the sign ordinances that we have in the city, and I understand the illumination issues, and I do think that does present a bit of a hardship if you're going to have to switch those out. So I guess my question would be for you. So I know Starbucks has a lot of stores that are in kind of village centers that are, you know, that have zoning requirements similar to what we do. So what do they typically do in those areas? Do they illuminate those signs? Are they allowed? I'm just curious.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really not sure of that answer.
It might be helpful for our city to understand what are other cities similar to Milton that have, you know, more of the small village feel, and we have, you know, significant zoning restrictions. What are they? Are they requiring similar sign restrictions? That would be because Starbucks operates in a lot of cities, and I know they've had historical buildings that they've been in before. So even though this one is new, it is built to look historical. So,
right.
Any other comments from others?
Yeah, my office is right across the street from this. You know, pass by this Starbucks numerous times a day. And I agree. I think it was kind of built below grade. I like where the signs are placed. Certainly didn't offend me whatsoever. They stuck to the Starbucks brand. I think that they kind of fit with what way we're going here. You know, I guess it's a shame they don't have lights on them, but I think size-wise, color-wise, they, you know, depending on how they vote, I would say they look fine. I don't have a problem with any of that.
I don't have anything to add. I agree with all of you. I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, it sounds like our recommendation is we're actually okay with the signs. I mean, you know, if they were obtrusive, I would certainly have an issue, but I actually would even be happy if they were a little bigger because I could, like I said, I barely could see it. I didn't know that was a Starbucks, and I'm happy that it is. So I think our recommendation is we don't really have an issue with those signs moving forward.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And I'd bring in, they fit architecturally. The circle and these buildings like those signs. And I would be looking at it from an architectural point of view. And they look great with that building mass.
Great. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Our next courtesy review is 12595 Crabapple Road. If the applicant, nope, not here. Okay, so we need to make a motion to defer this case until the next meeting.
Which address is this?
Well, we moved the beer and wine, the wine market, the 12595 Crabapple Road.
Been moved up.
It was moved up,
Postponed.
and they're not here, so we need to make a motion to defer it till the next DRB. Yeah.
I will make a motion to defer agenda item C7C 12595 Crabapple Road to next meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay.
Could we maybe on this case have if this isn't appropriate, tell me. But could we give staff some thoughts on this case to reach out to them before next month? Because I have a lot of.
My bad, yeah, maybe we could do it after the.
Let's do it in, put it in new business.
Okay, new business.
Yeah, we'll move it. We'll deal with that in new business. All right, we're going to move on to our final reviews. We have 2865 Webb Road Daycare. We have architectural review, and then the second item is for an LDP review. So if the applicants could come forward.
No, that was just so we get to talk about it. Are we doing first the LDP? They ought to be done separately. They're two separate items.
They are separate. So we're going to do the architectural review first.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to vote separately on them as well.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Calvert. I'm with Calvert Design Group, and I'm here to represent Happy Faces Daycare. This is a follow-up from last month's meeting where we had reviewed the exterior facade of the building. If you don't mind, I'll come around and show you the new board real quick. There was one additional change that was requested, and that was that the railing be switched over to vertical pickets, or it was suggested or discussed. We would prefer to leave the railing X as an X pattern because of the visibility from the street. So the last image that is in your packet is the eye level view of somebody standing 6 feet tall from the sidewalk looking up at the building. So you can see from that viewpoint that if we do a vertical picket all around the building, it will really block the view of the building significantly compared to the X railing style that we have selected.
I brought up the picket, so I'd say I'm good. The colors are much better. And since I brought up the picket thing, I would say I'm fine with the X's.
Okay.
And do you have samples of what your lighting's going to look like? What you're using for materials on windows, all of that? That would be helpful as well.
No, we don't have specific light fixtures selected other than that they are black lantern style, but the actual item numbers have not been selected. The windows are a white frame and white mullions.
And what's the material on those windows?
A composite, not a strictly vinyl. It's a composite that can be painted later if they want to ever paint it.
Wouldn't they be vinyl or metal too?
To be honest, I don't know off the top of my head what they are. I know that the outside frame can be painted if it needs to be refreshed, but the inside mullions are sandwiched in the glass. They're not the kind that are on the outside. They're not an architectural relief mullion.
Windows fall apart in a short period of time. If it's going to be a high-use building, you need to have sturdy windows.
I like the colors better.
You like what?
Colors look much better.
Much lighter.
Yeah, I mean, instead of looking, yeah, I think it looks better.
Yeah, we revisited that neighborhood that you guys were mentioning and looked, and it almost looked like seaside. It was very pastel.
Yeah.
So we lighted it up as much as we.
Yeah, and that works much better with neighbors.
I'm going to go with where I think Reed's headed here. I'd like to mention to staff, we're going to talk about this at the end of the meeting. Light fixtures in Craftsman architecture and Milton look are critical, and we want to start seeing these light fixtures, and applicants need to hear that. We could ask you to come back next month and show us those postponed again. But you've done a great job lighting it. I think we'll all agree with that. I guess take it from me, daycare and Starbucks are kind of like that. Can't be unhappy with daycare. And I would say let's go with this, even though we're missing the light fixtures. We want to see very Milton, Craftsman-like light fixtures, and I really want staff to hear us. I'm going to start saying let's postpone this if we don't see light fixtures.
Yeah, I think they need to get approval before construction from staff and architect on what light fixtures. You need to run those by the city architect, make sure they're working with the architectural intent of the building, and also confirm the window, what the construction is on those windows.
Okay.
I think durable is important, particularly for a daycare center in that location, just because of high use. You want to make sure that it's going to last and it's not going to, peel off or start looking, degraded after a few years. We don't really want to see that. So, better construction is better neighbors, particularly for the people that live next door to you. So,
I'd probably add to that if we're going to require, and I think you're right, somebody to bring in what type of materials the entire exterior will be, probably needs to be siding involved with that too. I don't know if we really covered that here. I guess this is a cement-based hardy board sort of issue.
It is a hardy board. Yes.
Yeah, I would have that too. So we can make a motion to approve with stipulations, have those items reviewed by staff and city architect.
Okay, I make a motion to approve 2865 Webb Road, the daycare, with the understanding that you'll come back in and see staff and the city architect to get approval of your light fixtures, and that you discuss with them the type of windows, whether they're metal or vinyl. And with that, I think you did a good job.
In siding.
In the siding. But it's a cement board siding.
Yes, it is.
Which should be good.
And so our approval would be based on cement board. Doesn't matter the brand. And,
But submitted anyway, just for verification.
Okay, good.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All right, second on that?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Our next item is to get approval for 2865 Webb Road Daycare for the LDP review.
My name is Jeff Walker. I'm with Foresight Engineering Company, 3740 Da Vinci Court, Peachtree Corners, Georgia, 30028. The application is a 1.03 acre lot. They're off of Webb Road. The sign slopes from the rear of the lot to the road. There's about 30 foot of elevation difference from the rear to the front. We're replacing the building between 20 at the 30 foot setback. That is the maximum setback that we were allowed. Our parking is in the rear. Our detention is underground. The playground is in the rear and on the side. I would say about a rear third of the lot. We are saving the trees back there to meet our tree density requirements. We're also planting other trees to meet street requirements, parking lot requirements, space and that type of information. We, of course, meet all the requirements, water quality, detention, parking, spacing, all that good stuff. We're going to serve about an acre of the property.
Yeah, I've reviewed the drawings for sites, done a good job. There seems to be everything's there. Staff's going to be inspecting it.
Sir.
So I make a motion and after the board all rings in on what they think. Okay, I'd make a motion to approve 12,590, whoops. That's the wrong one. I moved on to the wine store. 2865 Webb Road Daycare LDP drawings as submitted from Forsyth Engineering as they've been submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
It's like they may have a good opportunity to do like a nature trail or something back there. The whole piece of that property that they're not using is just going to be treated.
It actually was a separate piece, and we were asked to consolidate it. It was a landlocked parcel that was, and we were asked to consolidate it. There was an easement through our property.
Up to the kids.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Trail back
yeah.
there.
It just goes uphill. So
Good
that's
idea.
kind of what he's thinking. Maybe it's just
Inches and runarounds.
Oh, that'd be great.
Great.
They'll have fun. Thank you. Yeah, they'll have a great time. All right, we're moving on to new business. Are there any new business items that anyone would like to discuss?
Is new business our discussion, or is it old business? Things we want to do. It's
I
new
would say
business.
that would be new business.
Yeah. I've said this for a couple of years, and it's gotten worse. And I would like for the board to discuss their thoughts on when the cutoff date is, and that be not changed or done for people you know real well, and buddies and friends, and that cutoff date is the cutoff date, and nothing can be said after that. I, for one, get this on Friday. I work on it on Saturday. I drive these properties, and when we show up on Tuesday and somebody's got a new set of drawings, I don't want to try to make a decision. So point one is, again, I work in about 20 municipalities, and nobody allows drawings to be submitted after the cutoff date. It makes it harder on staff when you write this stuff up. I'd like that to be enforced and discussed. And then the submissions are really the weakest I've seen in 50 years. We don't have light fixtures. We don't have siding. We don't have paint colors. And part of our job is to approve this, but then it goes into a file that assures us if in 2 years the building looks a lot different, we have something on record that is what we're supposed to have done. I'm going in for change conditions right now in Peachtree Corners, and I'm having to, they pulled everything out. I submit things I forgot I submitted. And they're going, I said that. Well, I want to do that now. And it's just critical in our growth, and I'm hearing this from the city architect, Charlie. You've got to have the colors, the materials, the light fixtures when you approve this. And I'm hearing it from other people on other boards. And it's really poor with what we get. It's really poor. And so I would just like the board to discuss it. If you agree, I'd like staff to kind of draw the line in the sand and be clear with these developers who've been allowed to race things in. The case I worked on the medical, the guy said, well, I'm not going to get it in until Monday now. And I said, well, wait a minute, there's a cutoff date. You got to do it. And he said, well, I won't get it done till Friday noon. And I'm hearing the guy I'm working with saying, I'm not going to turn it in until Friday noon. I'm going to the beach, and I'm busy. And I'm going, the city has rules. I'm not sure what day it is, but the city has rules. He said, well, they said I could turn it in Friday noon. So, and that was on this case a few weeks ago. So my deal is turned in. We have the proper tools to do our job. We have the proper tools to document what we agreed to do in 2 years when it gets built. And then that we have these architects come forward. I think back to Cooper Carey's submission on the fire station, most incredible presentation I've ever seen on what we're supposed to get, and just a fantastic presentation. So that's what we should be getting.
And I think this is something you raised months ago. We've had this conversation before. I've been on the DRB. So how do we make the line in the sand? How does it actually start happening that people get pushed back on?
And we have checklists of what we're expecting, but I mean, I was somewhat frustrated tonight because for the daycare center, you know, things weren't there, and it's like, well, I want to know what you're doing for lighting. I want to know what you're doing on these, you know, requirements. And you know, I don't want to approve something that, you know, we're going to regret later, because we've been down that with paint color before, and I absolutely don't want to go there again. That was frustrating, and I heard complaints from a ton of people I mean, we hear complaints from the people in our areas about stuff that they're not happy with. So we don't want to hear complaints. We want to hear them be happy about the design that's getting ready to get built and that it looks great in the neighborhood. So,
Well, and then the jewelry, the beauty of architecture, and it's at the end, being a builder, developer, at the end of the job, you're running out of money, especially in the last year or two. Costs have gone through the roof. Your lumber doubled. So you're at the end of the job, and you go, I just don't have the money for those light fixtures. I don't have the money for that fancy handrail or the gable vents. And that stuff gets cut out toward the end. And that's what the public is going to see, is those finishes. And that's what we're approving. We're not approving the wiring and the studs and the concrete foundations. And with supply chain issues, if those light fixtures change, they can come back before us. And then last, everybody's idea of beauty in finishes is very different. That's why there's 7 votes. And that's why there's a bunch of us looking at this. And one architect sees it one way. It was real interesting on the medical buildings. I got Tim to give me some drawings. His viewpoints were very different than the architect's. And both of them were kind of different than Reed's thoughts, and which were valid. And they were, you know, wanting one stories, the medical folks, and it needed to be higher because it was in a hole. And so that's just where these presentations have to be accurate, and we're quasi-legal. We're approving things that somebody has to build, and we're the gatekeepers for our residents. So there you go. And it's really not well done for 2 years.
So there are standards. There's a sheet. There's some. I should probably go through a mock. It'd be on the other end of this. Would probably be a beneficial exercise for me, being in their shoes. But there is a sheet. So who's the gatekeeper at the city? Is it you?
I am.
Okay.
But I get drawings like, last minute, and I want to be on the agenda.
Well, so can we just tell them no if they don't have their ducks in a row? Is it that easy? Is it not that easy?
That easy.
I mean, I know you're a nice person, you want to be nice, but can you just put, is there something that we can use, a tool that we can leverage, or is it not that easy? I mean, I don't know.
We publish our schedule on our website. We're trying to have the message out there that we want a complete package, but sometimes I print out and then I get the stuff. It's just all.
But it might be just a training issue.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And they can't get away with it, then they'll stop bombarding you last minute with paperwork. They'll make your job easier in the end, and ours, but it'll just be painful to start with.
that's right,
Well, I
Rob.
think it is
With the
I
hammer.
think it's a bit of a training, because I think previously that it was allowed to have things put on the last minute. Now maybe the quality's come down, like you've said, but I think trying to be flexible with applicants, whether it's the DRB or whether it's working with people on plan review, really, I think
It might be.
we have this balance between customer service and then also doing the best job that we can and provide you all the best information you can have.
It may be the fact the city's
and
gone
so-
from being.
But well, if it's the direction, and if you guys can back us up, that when we get people call upstairs to say, well, Shuba or Robin didn't let me submit my package, but we've been working really hard, that we put the line in the sand and say, this is what is required, but we need backup to that.
Yeah, and Robin, if they want to contact Charlie and I,
Right.
we'll back you up.
Well, it's not even just you, it's to this, usually they start calling up to the
But
city
we
manager.
can back you up, but I think it's the fact
Okay.
the city's gone from being a new entity, it's maturing now.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, we're willing to
And
do that.
it's
I mean,
booming right now, and the workload's gone through the roof.
Right, I mean, and I'm willing to do that. They call me the dream crusher in the office, so I can just continue that reputation of crushing their dreams for a certain month and helping Shuba do that.
By the way, I wasn't saying that you're not doing or not doing something. I just mean, if you need to use that as like, they're just not going to accept it, I can't
And
accept
that's
it, you
fine.
can blame it on
We-
us.
If
we
it's
can-
published and
we can
people
do
don't
that.
do it.
And I think too, for instance, the item that the applicant wasn't, oh, there's the applicant. Storm keep you away? Okay. So our applicant is here for the courtesy review, so, the
Okay.
other stone house over here on Crabapple. And also I have a question for you. I know for me, when I prepare for the planning commission meeting, they have a meeting on Wednesday, but I always get them their packet, well, really, literally on Friday, so they have an extra, do you all want an extra day, or does it matter that you get it on Friday for Tuesday?
Friday's
Would
good
it
with
help
me.
you? Huh?
Friday's good with me.
Friday.
I do it over the
Friday's
weekend.
good, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because I really try to keep it to, Thursday or Friday for my planning commissioners on Wednesday. So I just want to make sure you guys are happy with that.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, because like Charlie, I do the same thing.
Yeah, you don't
I'll
do
do it
anything until it's done.
in case I need to go look at a property or.
You just need to say, we're so busy, and it's not Robin saying anything negative. It's just, we've got these policies, and we've got people applying from all over North Atlanta, and architects and engineers. And again, it was surprising to me with the medical buildings, how they were busy on vacation, they were busy on this, and not once did they relate to the fact that we have these dates and times. It was, I'll call you when I get back from vacation, I'll get it in when I can, and that's just, we've let
I
them.
think it's the Jerry Maguire quote of "Help me to help you." The reality is, if people prepare properly, they're more likely to get the approval or the ask the first time and not be delayed. So after the initial pain of the training period, when people aren't allowed to submit late, it should get easier.
And I think more than 2 years ago, but, Milton's requirements and vision on what they're going to be has been rising steadily for 10 years. And we're just looking at things more detailed, like the swimming pool variances. Before the meeting, staff was telling me that, the BZA is just less likely to give these variances on pools. And they're just kind of tired of that because everybody wants to jump in the creek buffer. I'd pick up 4 acres on my property. If I could get into that 75-foot creek buffer, I'd pick up 4 acres of buildable land. And but since I'm on this board, I don't ask for that. But I got a lot of floodplain myself that, I see these come in here and they want to build in the setbacks.
Yeah.
We're working on our density, and we're pulling down densities and promoting open space, and yet we're cutting down trees for pools, and we're getting in 75-foot buffers all the time, and 50-foot buffers. And at a time, we're getting more and more dense, and we're losing more and more of our green space with 1-acre lots, which they have the right to do. So, and when people buy this stuff, they know what they're buying. Now, if Mrs. Smith came in here and wanted a pool and to be in the creek buffer, and she bought her house 20 years ago before these laws were passed, that's a different story for me.
Different scenario.
She owned the house. We put laws on her that she didn't know about. When you bought the house a year and a half ago, I bought my lot, my 18 acres, 4 years ago. The laws were in place. Robin told me, and you were kind of mean, so I agree.
Another
crushed
dream
your
crusher,
dreams.
yeah.
You can't do what you want to do on your barn. I said, well, why can't I? I argued with her. Took a 2-hour meeting for her to finally say you can't do it. And so, but I listened to her, and I did not. She said, you can go get a variance. You might get it, you might not. I went, no, I'm on the board. I don't want to ask for a variance. I'm going to live with the rules, and that's how we built the building, in accordance with the rules. And I would have liked to move it 10 feet closer to the property line. Now I've just got a 30 feet back there that I can't really use. And it's in my little bit of a view if I could have moved it back. That's my point of view. And I hear that from others who, there's a builder who always follows the rules, and he's really good in Milton. He said, I just don't ask for variances, but I see all these lots I don't buy because I can't build on them. Others do, and they go get variances, and that makes him unhappy.
Well, we've had discussions at CPAC about the big lot one, and that's part of it is you get the bigger lot, you're going to put a pool, you need to know where you're putting the pool and what the terrain issues
Right,
are.
exactly.
So, yeah, I agree with that.
You would think, on an acre lot, you could fit it all in, who thought that it's hard to do that nowadays? But
Yes.
that seems to be the
And
situation.
I would remind you, in the last 2 years, Robin, we had a really well-known engineer just say, now, I know before I present this that this isn't probably going to get done, but my client wanted me to give it a shot. Well, that means we're not enforcing our rules very well if the engineer knew he probably couldn't get it, but they wanted to take a shot. So I would say we need to, I know in Peachtree Corners, we all know Diana Wheeler, who ran Alpharetta for 25 years or 20 years, how tough she is. And I'm dealing with her in Peachtree Corners, and she is tough as nails. And I know before I go over there, I better have my stuff together and be really accurate, or she's going to say, denied, not talk to me, not chit-chat with me, not wait on me, I'm just going to get denied. And we want to be customer service driven. I take classes from Reed on this. And I agree with him, but not if they're breaking all our rules, and if they're coming in late and we get these sketchy little black and white packages. We're architectural, and some of the packages we get are so black and poor copies, you don't even know what the architecture might be. So I rest my case.
All right, well, it sounds like we have, I can put that under new business, or do I need to make a motion? We had made a motion to move this to, so we need to make a motion to add this to new business.
Okay.
Or make a motion to dissolve our old motion. It's all in the same meeting, so we can do that.
Well, we've already moved to new business, so we just need to move it under new business.
Put it up. I didn't. Right here. Everybody good on that last conversation?
Yeah, everyone good? Yeah.
I will make a motion to add 7C12595 Crabapple Road to new business.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Is that the proper way there?
That was
Good.
close enough. If the applicants for 12595 Crabapple Road can come forward and walk us through your project.
I don't know if there's a way to hook this up to that, or is there?
What we can do, she can put it on the read. It's not very good for that, yeah. You can switch.
I can do it. Yeah, there you go. Do I announce myself and all that?
Yeah, do your name and your address.
Yeah. 159, it's Rob Forrest, 159 Nokomis Place, Milton, right back here. And the property is 12595 Crabapple Road, which is next to Cans. So nobody's ever seen it up until about 6 months ago because it was buried in behind all the trees and overgrowth. I used to live at 12611 Itasca Walk, which is the very first townhome in Crabapple Station. So I sat there on my front porch for 4 years and 2 years, with a 1 year in between when I went to another house, looking up the thing and going, golly, that's a nice house. It's got some memories for a lot of people that are local. And why is it overgrown? And
What it was there was an investor that bought the Crabapple Station development from the FDIC. They owned it. They didn't care about selling it or anything like that. Every time I'd ask him about once a year, and no, we're not going to sell it. We're not interested in all that stuff. And they just let it sit there and kind of be overgrown and kind of get neglected. I've done a couple of historic restorations. I am a developer. I mainly do mixed use and things like that. Not as big as Charlie does, but I try to be like him when I grow up. But I've done downtown Savannah. I did a building in 220 West Broughton. It was built in 1880. That was a lesson in learning how to spend twice as much money to renovate a building. That was my first one. I've done a couple since then. So to see a house like this, Fulton County says it was built in 1920. Some locals say it was built in the early 40s. Either way, you're looking at a structure that's 80 to 100 years old. So super cool. The owner let me, go and, take a look at it a couple times inside. It's got sheetrock over it and some other things, but you can tell the bones and all of that stuff. This is a cool old structure, right? And as a developer, usually we want to blow these down and build big buildings like right across the street, as you can kind of see there. But I have an affinity also for older stuff as well, because it's just, it's cool and you can't replicate it no matter how hard you try. With Disney World, it's still not original. Before closing, we did get it under contract. Before closing, they allowed us to do some cleanup on it, clean up the landscaping, and it was overgrown. In this picture, this is afterwards, there was literally ivy and trees and plant life growing on this roof. So you couldn't even see the building and a lot of the stuff around it. Inside, we took a lot of the stuff out and exposed a lot of the original. It looks like hand-sawn timbers inside. There's a double-sided stacked stone, or not stacked stone, but a stone fireplace that's in there. Just really, really cool structure. So we've been able to put together a deal to make it into a beer and wine market, which is a license that's allowed in Milton, which is very unique. Much like Hop City in town, which is that's a good one where you can go and buy beer and wine, retail, and you can also sit down at the bar and sample it, drink there, and then get growlers and things to go as well. So really, really cool. So from a license standpoint, we're here for DRB. I'm showing you this side so you guys can see, like when you look at the renderings in your package, that is our architect's attempt to make it look like this. Oopsies, sorry. Hard to replicate the exact picture. That's why I wanted to show you the exact picture. From this standpoint, with the view you're seeing here, we're not doing any changes on it, just replacing the windows. All the windows are busted out, by the way. They've been all vandalized. Most of them you can kind of tell in the picture. The roof that's there, we're actually going to put a standing seam metal roof over the top of that. So it does not, so we basically put insulation over this, and then we're going to put a standing seam over the top of that. So it's the same pitches and angles and all that stuff, but we can leave the wood structure underneath inside exposed. So you can see the 100-year-old wood that's inside. On the other two facings, we're adding some patio. There's already patios that are there or covered areas. And we're extending those out with some ground level patio/decks, depending on where you are on the topography. Colors wise, very, very similar to what's there today. We've got a sample of a metal roof that we can show you from the standing seam roof. The downspouts will be the same color. So yeah, basically a cleaning up and a renovation of in our minds, of an old historic property. I guess I'll answer questions at this time.
So, Robin, is this on Historic Register?
It is on the
Okay, I was gonna say.
1996 list, yes.
I've been to Cannes a gazillion times. I didn't even know this was here.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You have to
I
be a
said I've
little
been to
louder.
Cannes a ton of times, and I didn't know there was anything over there.
Yes, there was, yes. It's been there, as Mr. Forrest said, it was a part of the original MIX zoning in Fulton County before we rezoned it to the form-based code, and it has been sitting derelict and empty all these years, and so I think it's a great idea to resurrect it, so to speak. So
There's a front elevation, or front,
they need to switch back. They'll switch it back to the.
okay, got it, okay. There's a picture of the front as well.
Talk to me about the parking for a minute. I went over there, and so 7, 8, 9, and 10 are being built into that hill next to the townhomes. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, there's already parking over there for cans, where the retail center owned that property. We own this portion of the frontage, so we're just adding parking spots that basically follow in line with what they already had.
Yeah. Now, I went over there yesterday. So there's one parking place on your site, and that's handicapped. So you're going to go into Ken's, Campagna, drive all the way down here, and this is your parking. And I'm wondering how you're going to find that. How is the customer here going to ever find that parking? Because if you turn in your driveway,
there is parking in the back also.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parks back there.
Right.
Is there sit-down service here, or just buy and leave, or is there?
There is. Yeah, it's as any downtown, which we are, everybody figures out where to park. I own a building at 982 Canton Street in Roswell. We have 7 parks on there and 100 tables, 100 seats. So, it's like any other downtown. You figure out, you commute, you get there, the parking that's here plus the new parking. At the end of the day, it's going to average out, and people will figure out how to Uber and walk from the neighborhoods.
So, Robin, all of this, it's a final, so it's already been through the city permitting and.
Well, we wanted this, no, it hasn't. We wanted it to come through to you first before any building permit was issued, just like any other project.
You're saying courtesy review.
A courtesy review. I mean, we reviewed we want, for a form-based code, we require a concept plan. So he's kind of taking it concurrently. We've been working with him the last few months on the site plan or of the property. And then we directed him to submit whatever architectural changes or additions to the DRB before proceeding.
So will we see this again, or is this a
It's up to you. We wanted it to be a courtesy review because we understood that you felt like there needed to be additional information, but that's, up to you if you feel comfortable.
It's checked final.
We moved it earlier. We
It
moved it to the courtesy to 6C.
Okay. Oh.
It kind of bounced around a bit.
I missed that. Okay, thank you. So it is a courtesy. Okay. I think it's great you're saving the house. I think it's great that I'm a very big proponent of saving these few little houses we have left and having less now 3-story buildings everywhere. I love Canton Street. Before I moved to Milton 3 years ago, I lived in Sandy Springs, went to Canton Street all the time. And so saving these and making them special is really cool. I will be bigger than you because you're going to lose all your money doing this. You look at a historic renovation and multiply by 3 from the number you think. So this is great work. I went over there and wandered around Saturday. So the stone's great. I like you just replacing the windows and not changing the openings in this whole building. So that's all really great. I didn't get why we're seeing these roll-up doors. Where's the roll-up door going?
On the west facing cans.
That's east if it's the cans.
I'm sorry, east. Sorry, I'm looking this way. Sorry, I'm facing the wrong way right now. That's the other way.
Is this roll-up door on your drawings? Because I'm not seeing it.
It is. It's on the east-facing side, the one with the patio. Yeah, the
Yes,
deck,
because
deck
the
slash
railing kind
patio.
of covers up
Oh,
where-
I thought that was a window. The handrail blocked out.
Yeah, and it doesn't, doesn't go to, it goes to ground level on the inside of the building, but that's also elevated above the patio, so it's not like you can walk in and out of that door. It's just so you can open it up, get fresh air inside, which nowadays especially people really want.
Yeah, pure, all those kind of places.
Yeah,
Right,
and
so
again,
there is-
especially again after the last year we've had, everybody prefers. And for example, our place in Canton Street's called BYQ. It's been we seat the outside always, and even when it's cold, we're seating the outside just for, I guess, the new norm. I don't know. Just the ability to have to where you can open it up and make them feel like it's being aired out.
I'm good with it. I just saw 3 doors and didn't really pick up on that's where that was. It is
Yeah,
on the east side, so it's not visible from the road. It's around
We have
back.
to replace the window anyway and the framing around it, and when we do, this fits in it. So we were like, and it matches kind of across the street also. There's about 6 or 8, 10 of them over here, so.
So also just, Bob had reviewed it, and he was good with the garage door being on the side and not in the front, and it's
Yeah,
being
no,
utilized
I-
other places.
Like it.
So it's in the back. Again, saving that roof line, not changing it, not blowing out a bunch of walls, is really good. I couldn't tell with the colors. That's another thing, Robin. Instead of photocopies of colors, they need to bring us chips.
Okay.
You can get the chips anywhere you want them. They make 2x2 chips. They ought to turn that in with us. And we ought to have a brand and a paint color, and we ought to be able to see it so I don't,
Or bring a color board. We've had those too.
yeah. So what are these colors? Are these for the door or what?
That's for the door, yeah.
Okay. And which door color are you using?
We're going with the same one as across the street. It's black, basically.
Well, there's a black tobacco.
Yep.
Which
So
one?
it kind of disappears a little bit.
Which color are you going to use?
Black.
Okay, black. So
Yeah,
gonna be
there's a
black.
photo, the very last photo is a big blow up of the one that's right here and right across the street.
Okay.
What we were doing with that is trying to pick the same light fixtures and the same, so it kind of tied the two sides of the road together.
Okay. We just want this in writing for your file.
100%.
If you sell the project or whatever, it's in the files and we know what we approve. So the roll-up door is going to be in black, and so I get where it is.
Same gooseneck lighting in that photo too? Basically the same
Exactly.
thing.
100%. That's why we included that, because it's, again, they've used it throughout over here, and we felt like tying it back together would make the most sense.
Robin, this is a complicated little deal. So who looks at the parking and the access? This is a right-in, right-out property, and it's up a very steep driveway. And while that worked in 1920 on a country road, this is pretty fast here. Who looks at that as this? They come out of this courtesy review and they move down the road. Who looks at that?
So in regards to the access and entrance, it was Sarah Leaders, our transportation engineers, looked at it, and I believe she made some comments on our concept plan. But I think she's okay with all of that, and actually, even though it seems to be steep, it doesn't exceed the maximum required to be under slope, so.
And originally, I'm just going to throw this in because from staff, they didn't want, we had some parking in the front because we're allowed to do that and it's nice and flat and all that stuff. But because of the access and some other things and just aesthetics, parking in the rear made a lot more sense. And we didn't need the excess parking. From code wise, we more than park on it. So the thought is to have, the ones down where the rest of the real parking lot is makes a lot more sense than to have them on this site. So that's why the front yard is almost, we had to put the handicap one there just for code. There's no other way to get people, handicap people in and out if we didn't put it there. But
Here's where I'm going to end my comments. Again, it's really neat you're saving this and going to all this trouble. I would like to see this come back to us after they really harden up their plan, harden up transportation, and do a real final, and I'd like for you to bring the real picture of the light fixtures you're going to use and where they are. There's no light fixtures shown other than one place on these drawings, and I think the light fixtures add a lot, and I think you're going to need more than one light fixture. Right, wrong?
I think there's a couple on there. I think there's like 2 shown. But
Yeah,
there's
okay,
not
2.
many, most of them are not needed.
All right, well, whatever you end up wanting to do, I'd like to see it come back after you get through staff and deal with all the parking, detention, runoff, and it's really going to get done. I'd like to see the final result.
We're ready we're very close to being ready to submit for a building permit. So that's where, this isn't really an LDP necessarily, because this pad, or this was considered a lot when they did the detention and everything. So we're not really going in for an LDP. It's just a building permit.
So your detention's over on the shopping center?
It's actually, the lake.
The big lake.
Yeah, the lake, kind of like the one that was done over here, that lake, we are considered lot whatever in that subdivision.
So
And
your detention's already been built?
Yep.
Right. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So from a permit standpoint, we're using gravel for the parking lot, which is the same that's used right here and used over at Milton. So, we're not doing any impact per se.
So Robin, this is just, he's
This
going to
is
file.
really more architecture and building, not the, we're just finalizing his concept plan for the site. So I can't remember what other outstanding comments we have, but I'm comfortable if you just deal with the building, and we can deal with the site work.
Okay, everybody else? Thank you for letting me cover all my issues.
Already got, if this is the only place he's putting the lights, it's going to be the same. Not much to the exterior.
No, once Robin said that, and the detention's handled, and a lot of the things are handled, then yeah, it's simpler than it looks.
Putting some kind of like lattice or something on the.
Yeah.
What that is.
We were going to, Bob hadn't given us direction on that per se. We had shown the porch being all up at a higher level where the existing porches are, but we decided to put them down at patio or ground level so they weren't so as impactful. Because one of the things was, you got all the stone, you need to put stone on the outside like these, then some of them are 8 feet tall and it's never going to match 100, however long old this stone is. So we dropped that down using stairs and things like that. So a lot of it is ground level patio. There's a little bit with some posts and stuff like that, as you can see from the renderings, but he hasn't given us any comments back as far as putting any lattice under there. I think we're going to screen it more with like maybe plant work.
Landscaping, I think that's, because we need the piers, because that's part of the architecture that's required to have, heavy piers on the bottom. And then he can do landscaping in between the piers, so you don't really see underneath or whatever.
Right,
so.
and so it's not as impactful as it was. The original was up at that, by the time you come over, because the topo, we were looking at piers that were 6-7 feet high, and now we're looking at, much shorter where you can just plant in front of them.
Yeah, so I would say too, have the arborist and Bob finalize the
For the landscaping,
landscape
yeah.
so that we're, integrating with all the other.
Just kind of softening that up and blocking the.
Yeah, so that it integrates with what's already there, so.
Robert, are your stairs wood there that are going from the parking lot below Kansas?
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Right. The good and bad of the dumpster is it's on our property. So,
well, you can manage
yeah,
it.
if you look at the survey, you can kind of tell it's on our property. So we've talked to the owners next door about just utilizing their dumpster, so that's why we don't have a dumpster enclosure on ours, because technically we do have a dumpster
I
enclosure.
almost wish that's where your stairs went up. It's almost like a perfect shot.
Yeah.
Right up that
Yeah, if
street.
you leave the top open, we just throw it in, but I'm kidding, but, yeah. But yeah, there's another reason that they're there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and that dumpster enclosure is pretty tall. That shows you how the topo is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, for what we're doing there, we aren't producing food or anything. Food is allowed. And so what we're doing is we've reached out to a couple of the restaurants. We'd like all the restaurants to be able to do delivery to it. So if you are there, you can hang out, you can order food and stuff like that. So Variant Brewing down in Roswell, they have a deal with what is it called? Standard. And they have them, basically you can sit there and order right there, and then they walk over and bring it to you. And that's crossing Highway 9. In our case, most of them are not crossing anything. They just bring it up to the parking lot. So from a trash standpoint, we really almost have none. Very, very little. Because the keg, any kegs and a lot of the wine and stuff like that will be consumed, so they're very little trash.
Don't think you'll have any lighting like around that deck post or around the perimeter that yard that you have out front? It could look really good.
At some point, maybe, but right now, no, we haven't planned anything yet. We're trying to keep, get it open, then we can come back and, if we wanted to add lighting or some outdoor things, we'll come back to you guys with that.
So I think too, you have to think about,
stair
you're
lighting.
right on the roundabout, and I think there's a fair amount of light at night with the lighting. I mean, I'm not saying it's exactly on the structure, but at least it helps with safety and, feel like you can see it.
Yeah, the trees in the front yard are all hideous, by the way. If you've been over there, they're awful. So that part of the plan, as you can see there, they come out. So we're replanting. So it'll be opened up, and it'll feel a lot more open when it's done. We haven't taken out the trees yet, but that's part of the plan.
And the arborist has already looked at it, so that's part of the review. What's this green stuff too?
Oh, for a roll-up, like for the bug screen.
What, for the
When you
garage
open the door, you can pull a screen down,
screen. Oh,
keep the
okay.
bugs coming in.
Do you guys want a certain color of the screen?
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I assume the screen's gonna be black if the frame's black.
Typically speaking.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so we want black. Okay.
Usually.
I'm just
If you've
I'm
seen,
clarifying.
I would,
Yeah, that'd be
yeah, you could do that. That's cool.
Yeah, if you've been to Pure, they pull their screens down and they just disappear. You don't really
Can't
notice them.
see them. On the stair access, my only concern would be at night, lighting, going up those sort of stairs. I need some there. That could be a accident waiting to happen.
We'd have to see there. So living there's a light post almost right there. So that's already there. So it may be okay. Again, that's one of those things. Some of that we may not know until we get in there and we go, ooh, we need this or we need that. Then we can come back to you guys with that.
Yeah, and I figured that lighting and life safety was gonna get picked up in the building permit phase.
Right, yeah, whatever little amount that might be needed, yeah.
All right, so I was not happy with this in the beginning. I'm seeing this little site parking down the hill, didn't understand how that ownership unfolded. And, but I think you should be commended for saving it and doing it. And, I'm good.
It'll look a lot better than it does now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It has for years.
Can't wait to have everybody over.
Yeah, it
it'll
looks-
be cool, and it's not cheap. So
And I would point out to the board, this helps in a couple of other issues where they want to demo those old buildings. And it's just setting a better precedent that we are saving these old buildings. And,
Yeah.
so, the more of these we get on the record, the better.
Yeah, that
Before
actually
we
is pretty
have to
important.
go head to head on a
Yeah.
couple of them.
You're not changing any of the mortar or anything like that. You're just
No.
pressure washing and going for it, letting it
that's
rip.
it. Yeah.
Look nice.
Wait till you see inside. There's actually a really on the one side of the double-sided fireplace. There's a horse and a horseshoe that they tried to make in it 100 years ago. It doesn't look very good, but it does fit Milton very well. So
Yeah, that's
it's
cool.
pretty cool.
Neat.
So yeah.
That's really neat.
Would we want to ask him to have a history written and submitted to staff like we did on the the other stone house. And that was a requirement because we wanted to know some history on it. And why wouldn't we do that here?
That was for a demolition.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was for demolition.
Yeah, I'm
Because they
not
were
sure of
tearing
the
it down.
purpose of doing it at this point.
Yeah,
That
you're right.
was-
I missed the fact that it was
It
for
might be
demolition.
some dimension to the historical
Right,
group to,
the Historical Society.
yeah.
You need to get them to put a plaque, one of the
Right,
really cool
exactly.
plaques out front.
We will, yeah. We've talked to, actually, the roofer is a local, and it goes back generations, and there's two sisters, and they're in their 90s, and, so we're getting a little bit of recollections of some stories about it. But the horseshoe is upside down, right? It's supposed to be.
Not bad.
You're changing it,
No,
its
tell them the rest of
direction.
the story. Is that okay? You got to hear this. Okay, go ahead.
Come up to the thing.
Come on up here. Yeah. This is good.
You have a story to tell, though.
Well, I have to read it all off. Corey Cianci, I went to Milton High School back in the 80s, but now I live up in the sticks. But anyways, Monroe Johnson built the house by hand out of stone, built the fireplace with the horseshoe and horse, and lived there for a long time, and was riding a bicycle down Crab Apple Road holding onto a dump truck, and went under the dump truck and died.
That's why the horseshoe should be by the
So that's not the history I want to put in the house, but I figured I'd tell you all that.
Yeah, that's not,
So I told my daughter I want every horseshoe, because we have 12 horses. I want every horseshoe she can get. I'm putting them all right side up on every post inside that place I can get. But that's the history. I don't want to tell it to be me up very entirely, but so that's the history by that. But it's all the row house.
Yeah, we looked into
One
that.
row,
Yeah.
it's all the row house. But I mean, unfortunately, the guy that built the house.
All right,
Run over
do we
by
have a
dump
motion, or what do we do here? And is this going to change from a courtesy now to a final, because we're never coming back, so.
That's fine, go ahead and you can change it back to final. We were just trying to be conservative, knowing what you had expected, and it wasn't quite there, so that's why we suggested for courtesy. It's up to you all. If you want to change it to final, we're all good with that.
Well, they're not coming back, so.
Right.
yeah, then I would take a vote on it as a final review. So we just need to make a motion. Yes, that. So we'll now, what we can do now, we can move it to,
Currently,
well, we're at new business.
It's a new business.
So now we can say we did the courtesy review. We could actually say we can add to new business a final review.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to add to new business a final review of 12595 Crabapple Road.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so our final review of 12595 Crabapple Road. So are there any other comments from the board or staff? If not, we will make a motion to approve it.
With the roofing material.
The metal, I think
It's going to be the gray color on
yeah, I think
the elevations.
I mean, are you? Do you
No, I'm good with that. I just don't want a green roof. Or anything.
Good. Good with color then?
I'll make a motion to approve 12595 Crabapple Road. Final review and new business.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good to go. I'm going to go check it out. That
I
looks
can't
really neat.
I can't wait. So, thank you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Good luck. All right, is there any old business? We are adjourned.